Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fresh Perspectives podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Lauren, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Today, I'm sitting down with Rob Lawless. Over the last 10 years, Rob has sat down with over 7,600 strangers, talking with them for 1 hour each. He is on a mission to meet 10,000 people on his journey. He started his journey in 2015 after leaving a consulting job at Deloitte, the dream job that he had that turned out not to be his dream. He was missing something that most of us seem to miss after we leave school: the ability to meet people with no agenda, no transaction, no reason really other than genuine curiosity about who someone is. 10 years in, he's been on The Kelly Clarkson Show, he speaks on stages about human connection, and he's built a community of thousands of people whose lives have genuinely intersected because of this one idea that he couldn't get out of his head. Rob and I met last summer. I had seen his project on Instagram, and when he said he was going to be in the New York City area, I jumped at the opportunity to be one of his 10,000 friends. What I love so much about our conversation is that Rob doesn't just come with the highlight reel. He really gets deep into the challenges that he's faced in his project, what he's learned, and what he's taken away from his experience. All of that is in this episode for you today, and I am so excited for you to hear our conversation. Rob, I'm so excited to see you again. It's been a while. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, it's good to see you again too. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we met in New York. What was it? Maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah, just over a year ago. So we met June 27th of 2025.
You just told me that I was number 7,009 in your
Yes.
journey. Where are you at now?
I just met 7,620.
So you average about 600 people a year, which is nuts.
Yeah. I'm trying to meet like 50 people a month now. And so I guess I've been sticking to it.
So let's dive into it. You started Rob's 10,000 Friends. Where did the idea come from? What was it like starting this?
Yeah, I just wanted to meet new people. I feel like people can relate to this. Like, it was really not an issue to meet new people when you're still in school. It's like a built-in part of how we operate. I went to a small Catholic high school with like 500 kids total. But then I went to Penn State, 40,000 students, and definitely like had the best 4 years of my life when I was there. I met a lot of great friends who are now like family to me, and just spending so much quality time with them and forming so many great memories. Like I knew that was what was driving the value of my Penn State experience. I think the issue was I graduated in 2013. I started working for Deloitte Consulting. That style of connection was no longer available to me. It's sort of entered into this transactional world where I was only supposed to meet with people when I could use them to further my career, and people treated me the same way. And I struggled with that contrast. And so part of it was I wanted to find a way to meet people again where there didn't have to be an agenda. The other thing was I was in what was my dream job doing consulting, and I hated it. And I was like, I can't do this for 40 years until retirement. I had minored in entrepreneurship, so I've always been interested in creating my own path. And my dream would be to find a way to get paid to hang out with people all day, which doesn't really exist, but you can like finagle it, which I've been able to do through keynote speaking. But yeah, and I don't know. I think it's fascinating that one person can put you on a totally different path in life. Like, we all have experiences. If I didn't have my sister and my brother, I don't know if I would have went to Penn State. If I didn't have a friend there that encouraged me to become a tour guide, I don't know if I would have met some of my best friends. And so it's like knowing that to be true. What happens if you meet 10,000 people? And I don't know the answer to it. I just want to find out. So it's just driven by curiosity and adventure for sure.
That's amazing. So you're 7,000 people in. What are the top 3 things that you've learned from this experience?
The biggest thing is no one really knows what they're doing with their lives. Everyone's just doing the best they can with the resources that they have. I think we all know that to an extent. I think people struggle with that when they see social media and they're like, oh, everyone but me is going on a really cool vacation. Everyone but me is happy at work. It's just not the case. I think like we just forget that. Everyone knows that Instagram is people's highlight reels, but it doesn't change the way that they feel like it's not their highlight reels. Like, it's crazy. And so just being able to interact with the candid versions of people every day has helped me realize like, okay, I'm not informing my life based on what I see on social media because I have a healthy balance of getting the real version of people's stories. So that's a big thing. I think the other thing is the themes of being a human are very similar. Like we all have a family dynamic. We all have some education story, some occupation that we have to do to pay the bills. We all have hobbies of who we are outside of work, and we all have dreams of what we want our future to look like. And it literally doesn't matter if you're born in Africa or America or Asia. Like you have a family dynamic. Some people's parents are divorced, some people's parents are deceased, some are still together, but it all impacts who we are emotionally. And so I think that you cannot escape the themes of being a human, though the details can vary. And I think that makes humanity beautiful when it's different. And then it's also really beautiful when it's the same because, like, oh, what are the odds that you would share this specific thing with this person? So that's been very cool. And I think from a personal standpoint, just that I have a lot to be grateful for. I now see the world on a scale of gratitude to possibility. I mean, today I met a guy whose brother died of a sudden heart attack.
Mm.
I hope I don't have to go through that experience. I'm lucky that I haven't had to go through it yet. Last week I met a girl, I'm 35, she's 34. Her dad passed away a month ago of a sudden heart attack. And it's like, wow, there was so much in my life that I already had
Mm-hmm.
that was valuable. And I just needed to like dust it, take it off the shelf and look at it. And interacting with other people's stories has helped me do that.
I feel like you being on the Fresh Perspectives podcast is totally fitting. It sounds like all these experiences gave you so many new fresh perspectives in your own life.
For sure. Yeah. And they continue to do so. And I think that's the beautiful thing about connection is I think if we don't connect with the people around us, we will lose our sense of empathy because it's very easy to get overwhelmed with our own stories. But when you're constantly interacting with other people, it helps you remember you're not the only person in the world. I probably have like 5 years left to go in the journey. But even after that, I think that I'll continue to meet people on a consistent basis because I just don't want to lose that.
Yeah, it puts humanity in perspective. And I think your point on empathy is so key. So let's just rewind a little bit. You came out of Penn State where you had all these friends. You
Mhm.
were in your dream job that wasn't actually your dream. Did you have a moment where you said, I want to meet 10,000 new people? How did this develop?
Yeah, I think it was just a combination of being dissatisfied at work because I had like all the things that I was supposed to have.
Mm,
And I've realized that there are so many people that get what they're supposed to have and are not satisfied, but a lot of people stay in that because they think it's what they're supposed to do. I fortunately have a high risk tolerance. Had like the girlfriend that I met 3 weeks before I graduated from school. Deloitte was going to pay for me to get my MBA. Like Deloitte itself was a great job with a great salary, but I thrive off of connection and I wasn't connecting with people there. I was staring into PowerPoint slides and Excel sheets for 12 hours a day. And I had no control over whether my day ended at 6 p.m. or if it ended at 10 p.m.
mm-hmm,
I think because I grew up in this time of like Facebook becoming a thing and Snapchat and Instagram is bought for $1 billion after a year. I just saw examples that you could escape that corporate life path.
mm-hmm,
And so just believing that it was possible was always a big thing for me. So I was always dreaming of like, what would my escape be?
mm,
And I had art projects that I thought would be really cool or different business ideas. And I don't know, I guess just because I was missing the human connection, I was like, how cool would it be if I, in 1 year, introduced myself to 10,000 people for 10 minutes at a time? Because everyone says like, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
mm-hmm,
And then people don't put that into practice. So I guess I was thinking, well, like, what would it look like if I really put this into practice at a very extreme rate?
mm-hmm.
But that was a bad idea. Like our podcast would be done if we were doing 10 minutes, right? So it just didn't go anywhere and it sat for a year and a half. And I left Deloitte. I went to a tech startup.
Mm-hmm,
I started having 30-minute sales calls with people there. And I was like, oh, even 30 minutes is surface level.
mm-hmm,
So what if I doubled that, did an hour with people? That would give me time to run out of topics to talk about, and it would force us to go a level deeper with each other. You're actually taking time to get to know people's stories. In January of 2014 was the first time I wrote my iPhone notes, introduced myself to 10,000 people in 1 year. And I was like, I could do 40 people a day, 200 people a week. The
Yeah.
math never would have worked, getting from location to location, taking a lunch break.
You were so optimistic.
Delusional optimism is a big trait of mine. And I've always been the dreamer who's like, oh, I can meet 10,000 people. I think a lot of people get paralyzed of they want to have everything perfect, so they never start. I just was like, I'm going to walk down and see what I need. This idea to meet 10,000 people kept nagging at me. And so I paid attention to the fact that it didn't fade away. I felt like it was something that had to get out of my head and into the world.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about getting it into the world. Was your plan always to share it on social media?
Yeah, because I think realistically, how do you meet 10,000 people one-on-one for 1 hour each? It's
Mhm.
like there has to be a way to do it. And I think by documenting it was a way to create social proof,
Mhm.
but also a way to create something that people could follow along with and root for.
Mhm.
I started it in 2015. I took a picture with everyone that I met and I wrote their stories. I didn't start the Instagram account until January of 2016.
Okay.
Why I waited 2 months, I can't remember, but I did. I think I just wanted to prove to myself that I was going to stick to it. And once I met 8 people, I was like, all right, I'm all in. I'm going to go to the end. So I posted, I think over the course of 2 days, those first 8 stories, and then just continued on with it.
What has the impact been? Do you have people who are reaching out saying how much stories resonated?
Yeah, I think it's just given it a platform to become a brand. That idea of it building up a group of people that could root for the success of it did occur. Yeah, it was so interesting because back then was still like the like for like, follow for follow era of social media, which I never did. Like I was always against that because I was
Yeah.
like, I only want people to follow me if they think what I'm doing is interesting. When someone would like a story because of a hashtag, I'd reach out to them and say, hey, thanks for liking my post. This is what I'm up to if you want to be a part of it. Or someone would follow me and I would reach out to them. It just gave it a space to grow into what it was supposed to become, because then people could find it on their own. And my Instagram DMs are still like my email inbox. The greatest business platform that I've had over the last decade has been Instagram, because it's where I've done all my communication. It's where I've documented everything. And it's where it's allowed the project to reach not just the Philadelphia area where I started it, but out into LA when I moved there, into Hoboken when I moved there, and then out into the rest of the world. And yeah, it's crazy how much social media has evolved since then. And I think in a way, for me, it has evolved to a point where what I'm doing gets tucked away amongst a bunch of the other things that are out there right now.
Mhm.
So oddly, it's harder to find people today than it was 8 years
Mm.
ago to meet, which as an observer is just like, oh, this is interesting. This is not what I would have anticipated, but there are a lot of times where I step back from my project and observe it with like curiosity.
Mhm.
And that's just where we're at right now. Like, I wonder if that will continue to the end, if it will pick up as I near the goal. I think there will be some sense of exclusivity as I approach 10,000,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the window is still pretty open right now, but there will come a point where it's like, hey, this guy's been doing this thing for 15 years.
How are you meeting these people? Is it people referring you? Is it cold calling for submissions? How do you meet 10,000 people?
In the beginning, I was reaching out to people in the Philly area that I thought were interesting. And it's not like they were celebrities or anything. It'd be like a local photographer or street artist. I Googled Philadelphia artists and found local Philly artists' emails on a website. And then I emailed them if I thought their art was cool. But then people started to tell people about it. Um, and that was what was so interesting. Like on Instagram, back then, if someone reposted our photo to their page, I'd have like 5 of their friends reach out being like, this is so cool. I want to be a part of it. Um, I had a guy the other week has like 400,000 followers who reposted our story together. Not one person reached out. So it's just changed so much. But
Yeah.
yeah, word of mouth, a lot of people sharing on social media and like the traditional media started to occur as well. I met a woman who her friend was a writer for a publication called the Philadelphia Citizen. So she was like, oh, I'll put you in touch with him. Maybe he would want to do a story on you. And so he and I met for an hour. He did do a story on me. It became one of the most popular stories that year. And and then like a local TV station did a spot on me, and it aired at like 5 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. So no one was really seeing it, but it was cool. And it felt at that time, being 8 months into my journey and people covering it, Like it felt so much bigger than it was, which was really important because it fed the delusional optimism that I needed to continue doing the project. And also because I was laid off from my job at that time. So
Mm.
8 months in, I lost my job at the tech startup and was faced with the decision to look for another job or to dive into this full time. And I chose to dive into this full time. So I think when you and I met last year was the 9-year anniversary because I think my full time anniversary is June 27th. So this month will be 10 years since I've been doing
Wow.
it full time.
Wow. What have you learned about networking and connection? And I asked this question because I'm thinking about somebody who maybe moved to a new city and is like, I have no friends. I think that your story and your platform proves like if Rob can meet 10,000 people, I can meet maybe 5 people. So what advice do you have on like growing your network and meeting people?
To package it into a goal of sorts has served me so well. Like the concept of meeting 10,000 people, if I didn't have that and I was just going around to people saying like, let's meet, let's hang out for an hour for no reason, I don't think people would be part of it. But because I'm like, oh, this is a goal of mine, then it becomes part of my identity. And then people can feel the genuineness of it
Mhm.
and they feel like they're helping me. They're then becoming part of this thing to hit this goal. And so they're like serving in a way. Um, but I would have a goal to meet like one new person every month. And it's been cool the past few weekends here in Philly. I have hung out with people who were part of my project. Like that's been my Friday
So
nights.
cool.
Yeah. And like none of them know each other. On Friday night, I was at a book launch event for one of the first like 100 people that I met. And at least 20 people at this book launch event were part of my journey.
That's crazy. And you didn't expect that going in, or did you know beforehand?
I didn't expect that many of them. The guy whose book launch event he's a big part of the Philly community as
Mhm.
well. Um, but yeah, I saw people that I hadn't seen in like 10 years and caught up and now we're like planning new things together, which is cool. But yeah, the 3 weekends prior to that, I got drinks with people who were part of my project. And that has involved like them reaching out, being like, hey, let's meet up again. And me being like, oh yeah, I'm down. And me reaching out and being like, let's grab a drink again. So I think the way to create community for people who are lacking it, do things that you enjoy, do it consistently, like have a goal for yourself so you hold yourself accountable. And then don't expect other people to create the community for you that you are seeking. Because a
Mm.
lot of people will be like, oh, they didn't invite me, so this must be done. It's like, no, you have to take the proactive approach to reach out to them too. So yeah, those are the big things. And I think we all get nervous or insecure about meeting new people and like, am I going to run out of things to talk about? Am I going to stumble over my words or whatever? So if you have a goal to meet one person every month throughout the year, maybe month 2 didn't go that well, but you still got 11 other months to like have a great conversation. So I saw that through my project too. I gave myself time to stumble and for it to be awkward before I settled in. And I think that's just a good approach.
Did you ever have a really bad experience or an unexpected experience throughout the project?
I can't say that I've had a bad experience because my mindset going into it, it's like I don't expect the conversation to go anywhere. I just expect to learn
Mm.
about that person. There's not hasn't been like any crazy things that have happened or anything like that, but I've met people that I don't think I would hang out with again. But I'm not like, oh, they're a bad person, or I've probably met thousands of people who wouldn't want to hang out with me again, right? So, um, I think just going into it with respect has been super helpful.
How do you navigate an uncomfortable situation? Like, if you're talking with somebody and like nothing's kind of coming up naturally, you're not vibing. Obviously, you've committed to talking to them for about an hour. Like, do
Sure.
you sit in that discomfort?
I have gotten just from talking to so many people, I feel like I think about people's lives like a timeline or the plot of a movie. And it's like you're really just trying to understand the life experiences that they have been through. So it's like, what were they like in their childhood? What were they like in their adolescence? What about their young adulthood? What about their adulthood? What do they want to be like going forward? This is what I talk about in my keynotes was like, you can dive into their family and relationships. Like, how did they meet their friends? What does their family look like? Has their family evolved from their childhood into their adulthood? So like, you've got this different timeline, but then you can say, okay, like, what was your family like when you were 13? What was your family like when you were 30? So you can do that across the timeline. And maybe you talked about adulthood, but you didn't cover your adolescent years. So it's like, oh, okay, that's a blank spot in my understanding of who you are. Let me dive into that. But then you can do it for like the education path and the career path. And again, it spans the whole timeline. And then the hobbies. Like I was into Pokemon as a kid. It's not really my thing anymore, you know? So, um, how have they evolved over time, and like how have your dreams evolved over time? And the goal with those categories is to find something that they're passionate about. There was a guy that I'd met, and for the first 15 minutes we weren't getting anywhere with each other in the
Mhm,
conversation, and
mhm.
I forget how it even came up, but like 15 minutes in he told me that he went scuba diving for his honeymoon, and I spent the next 45 minutes talking about scuba diving. And like this guy that was giving me like one word answers, hard to form a connection with, he took the reins. And then just the conversation went from there. And at the end, he was like, "Oh, this is great. We should get a beer together sometime." Um, so it's that. And then it's the understanding too that some of these people that are struggling to form strong connections are super socially anxious. And then like they might be giving you a one word answer, which is really frustrating, but that might be the best that they can do in that moment, to where they get so overwhelmed where their mind is like, just give the answer and get to the next question. While it can still be frustrating, I've learned to give those people grace, to say, hey, maybe you are doing the best that you can right now. And I'll carry the conversation so that you feel comfortable to go out and do it again in the future. And then I think the other thing is you just get better when you interact with so many different personalities. You get better at encountering that personality the next time around.
It sounds like you have a huge sense of compassion that's grown from this project.
For sure. Yeah. And it's like, goes back to the empathy too, and understanding that other people have not been through the same experiences that I've been through. I remember meeting a girl, she had to drop out of college, not because she didn't want to be there. She had to drop out so she could get a job because her mom couldn't afford rent on her own. So as a college student, she had to care for her mom. Like I didn't have to care for my parents during college. They cared for me. I had a really good friend who lost his dad to cancer our
Mm.
sophomore year of college. And like I just don't think in college I thought, and I'm sure I thought about it, but you're like, oh, like our grades are the same. Like we're both smart. And it's like, no, the fact that you could get good grades while managing the loss of an immediate family member is incredible. And so I just gained a better appreciation for what other people have been through. It's been a very humbling experience. And um, yeah, in some ways, it's made me a very content person. So sometimes I'm like, don't be afraid to continue to dream. Like it is good to feel good about yourself at times, but I just have an appreciation for how difficult life could be for other people, or how strategic they have been. So it's it's inspired me of how well people handle it.
You kind of have a vision for your life, but it sounds like in talking to all of these people, like, there's so many things that happen along the journey that, like, you don't account for. Somebody dies, a pivot happens,
Hmm.
you lose your job. Is that something you've also kind of learned throughout this process of, like, things not looking as they seem?
Yeah, and I think we always like naturally assume that our original idea was the best path. And it's not the case. Like sometimes you get knocked into a path that is the better path for you and you can't see it at the time. I mean, I thought that I was going to be supporting myself through social media partnerships, partnering with brands that cared about human connection. And I just didn't want to trade the authenticity of what I was doing to go down that path. I remember people would be like, oh, but I'm sure by the time you hit 5,000 people, you'll find a way to monetize this. And I was like, 5,000, that's so far in. I'm going to definitely be able to monetize it by the time I hit 1,000. Like I won't have to worry about my finances.
Yeah.
Fast forward, then I've got $500 left to my name in 2018 and $200 in 2019. And I'm moving back in with my parents. And like that was an interesting journey. Like my friends all going off and getting married and buying houses uh, on the same timeline, and me being on a different one than them.
That make you question your choices?
It didn't make me question the choices, because if I think about in those times where like I hadn't monetized yet, or I was still living in my childhood bedroom, I would still prefer that path. So I knew I was on the right path. Um, it's hard to say, right? If I stayed at Deloitte, would I be married with kids in a house right now? Who knows? I can tell you that if I had that and I was still working with Deloitte, the feelings that I had towards it back then, I would be miserable. Like I would feel like I never lived up to my potential
Hmm.
by not taking the leap into something that was on my heart to pursue. It probably made a lot of other people question my path for me, like my family and stuff. But um, yeah, again, I think it's just something you observe along the way. You're like, oh, this is interesting. I am really being put to the test of like, how much do you actually want it? And then in a way, it feels like a challenge that you just have to overcome.
Mm. How did you overcome it?
Just continuing, like, it's just a war of attrition. Um, but like, and then starting to see the data that something was always coming down the pipe that I couldn't anticipate.
Mm.
Like, I never anticipated being on Kelly Clarkson's talk show. They just DM'd me on Instagram and were like, hey, do you want to be on this show? And yeah, of course. In 2020, I remember Zach King, if you're familiar with him, he's like a big social media guy.
Mm-hmm.
He messaged me and invited me to go lobster diving with him in California. And like, that was a very cool moment to have someone so well established in the social media world take note of what I was doing. And it was like validation that I was again on the right path. And then with the keynote speaking, like I didn't even anticipate going into that field. And I met a keynote speaker named Michelle Poehler who inspired me to do it. And then even with that, and I'm still in that today, like this year, I spoke November 6th, I think, and then I didn't have my next paid keynote until April 24th. And in that time, you start to get into this mindset of, oh, I guess like this, maybe this isn't the path for me. Maybe people don't resonate with my message, or maybe it was just a post-COVID message that they'd enjoyed. And then I just stuck it. I continued to meet people, continued to do all the things that I normally do. And now this year is looking like it might be one of my better years. And so I'm like, oh, interesting. So I don't know, that whole Thomas Edison 10,000 tries of the light bulb thing, like you just have to keep telling yourself like this could be the next one.
Yeah. And where did you get this sense of radical optimism?
That I don't know. I think it might be a nature thing. It's not a nurture thing. I didn't grow up in a household where they were like, go off and pursue your dreams.
Mm.
And my parents also were not like, how cool of you to lose your job and do this. They were like, okay, you need to get a job. And okay, now you're moving back in with us. This is not good. Okay, now you have no money. My parents are realists in that sense, and I can appreciate their outlook on the path, but they definitely were not encouraging me to dive deeper into this. They were encouraging me to stop and get a job. Do you remember the show The Buried Life on MTV?
I think so, yeah.
It was on 2010 and 2011. It
Okay.
was like these four guys that would go around in an RV checking items off their bucket list. And for every item they checked off theirs, they'd help a stranger check an item off theirs.
Okay.
Like that show was hugely impactful to me.
Mm.
And it's cool because Ben Nimpton, one of the guys from the show, ended up being part of my journey. He was a keynote speaker before he was part of my journey. But now he's, to me, like the Michael Jordan of speaking. It's like I hope that I can create a career similar to his, which is so interesting because back in college, I was hoping that I could create a lifestyle similar to his. And
Mm.
now there's lifestyle and career has evolved, but he's still my like person I'm chasing. But I think it was through watching things like that. And again, like the Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, entrepreneurship stuff, noticing the things around me and just really feeling like life was not meant to be sat in a cubicle for 12 hours a day. I just refuse that that's how I'm supposed to live my life when I have seen examples that life outside of that is possible.
What advice do you have for somebody who has something on their heart and they want to go after it?
If it's truly on your heart, like start and never stop until you feel like you've accomplished what you set out to do. Because yeah, starting is such a paralyzer for people. And again, I say now, if I thought of everything I could have thought of before my project started to like make it go perfectly, I would have thought of like 5% of what I know now. Think about life, right? How much do we know as a kid and how much do we have to learn along the way? Like everything we learn. And I'm still learning different things all the time that I get to put in my toolbox and take with me. But the not stopping is another big piece of it. Like that summer of 2018 when I had $500 left, I think I just got to a place where I was like, oh, okay, I feel like if I hit $0 in my bank account, that's the end of this game.
It's like a video game.
Yeah, you like feel like it's game over and like your
Yeah.
life is done.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, well, let's play it out. Like if I hit $0 in my bank account, what would happen? I would probably like throw up a GoFundMe to be like, hey, can people help me out? Or I'd be like, hey, does anyone know of a job that I could do for like 6 months to get myself back on my feet? And by that time, I had a network of like 2,000 people and had shown people that I was passionate about what I was doing. So my mantra became the end is never the end. Our fear kicks in a lot sooner than the actual end. So I think becoming aware of that was a big thing for me. Um, and yeah, by giving myself more space to create and push forward, the kinks kind of worked themselves out, and I was able to continue. And at that time, I would get like a partnership for like $500 or $1,000, and I just saw it as buying time because I knew I could
Yeah.
stretch $500 like a couple months. And so I was, I just bought 3 new months, and
Yeah.
hopefully something in that time will happen. Like I will at least be further along the journey.
I love that. I love the end is never the end, but unfortunately, it is the end of this episode.
Mhm.
This has been great, Rob. If somebody wants to participate in your project, how can they do that?
Shoot me a message on Instagram at Rob's 10K Friends if they want to check out other people's stories. They're there if they want to be part of it. Yeah, just shoot me a message and I'll reply back. And if they're in Philly or New York, as we were able to make it happen in person, like if I can do it in person, we'll try to do that. And if not, I meet people virtually ever since COVID as well. So yeah, and anyone who is interested should message me. I am looking for people and I would love to meet with them.
Well, I know I have some amazing people in my network, so I hope they reach out. And I want to thank you for being a part of me pursuing my dreams. Starting this podcast has been a dream, and everything you were saying totally resonated. Like the points where, am I going to stop? Am I going to keep going? But I think when you have that conviction, like it really is powerful. So thank you for articulating that as well.
Yeah, thank you for being part of my project and allowing me to return the favor. So it's just good connections, just spinning people up. So I appreciate it.
This has been another episode of the Fresh Perspectives podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Lauren, and I can't wait to speak to you again next week.